Let's work with some examples of multiplying binomials together using the foiling method. So first, outers, insides, and lasts. So let's deal with the firsts. So r times r. R times r is r squared. Next you do the outsides. So r and negative 3. So that would be negative 3r. Negative 3 times r, negative 3r. Next, you do the insides, so 1 times r. That would just be a positive r. And lastly, you do the lasts, so 1 times negative 3. 1 times negative 3, that is negative 3. Now, you have two r's to the first power, a 3, negative 3r, and an r. You need to simplify these into 1. In other words, add the apples together. So r squared remains the same. You have negative 3 plus 1. That would be negative 2r. And then minus 3. That's your answer. Okay. So notice we went from a binomial. Now this is a trinomial. The r to the second is one term. The r to the first is another term. And the number is our last term. Okay, now let's do v minus 1 quantity times 3v minus 3 quantity. Okay, so first we do the firsts, so that means the v times the 3v, so that's 3v squared. Next we do the outers, so v times negative 3, that would be negative 3v. Next, we do the insides, so negative 1 times 3v. So negative 1 times 3v is negative 3v. Lastly, we do the lasts, so the first times the last. So v times negative 3, negative 3. Oops, excuse me. There's a last and there's a last. So this is my mistake. Don't look at this line. It's negative 1 times negative 3, which equals positive 3. So that was Mr. Neighbor's mistake. Now, simplify. So we don't have any other v squared, so I'm just going to put that down there then. We have two v terms, so let's combine them. Negative 3v minus 3v, so that's going to be negative 6v, and then the plus 3 doesn't have any other of the same terms, so we just keep it there. So here's our answer. 3v squared minus 6v plus 3. Again, notice, it's a trinomial. 3 terms, the v squared, the v, and the number. All right, let's flip it over and do some more. There we go. So we're using our foiling method again. So the first times the first. So 5v times 3v. 5 times 3 is 15. V times v is v squared. Next we do the outers. So 5v times negative 6. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30v. Then we do the insides, so 4 times 3v. 4 times 3 is 12, and then I tack on my v. And lastly, we do the last, so 4 times negative 6. That is equal to negative 24. Now, add your same terms. So we have negative 30v and a plus 12v. So we don't have anything to do with the 15v squared. So this is going to be negative 18v minus 24. So negative 30 plus 12. Negative 30 apples plus 12 apples equals negative 18 apples. So when I say apples, I was actually meaning my little v right there. And if you want to check it with your calculator, please do so, or to use your calculator if you can't do that in your head. So here's our answer. And lastly, 8b minus 1 times 5b minus 5. So we'll do our firsts. 5 times 8 is 40. B times b is b squared. Then we do our outside, so 8b times negative 5. So that would be negative 40b. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40, and that b tacks on at the end. Now we do our insides, negative 1 times 5b. So negative 1 times 5 is negative 5, and the b gets tacked on the end just like last time. And then we do our last, 8b times negative 5. 8 times negative 5 is negative... Oops! Mr. Neighbor screwed up again. So, we do our lasts, the negative 1 and the 5. So, negative 1 times negative 5, that equals plus 5. Okay, so Mr. Neighbor made a couple of mistakes in this video, but we caught him. Use this foiling method and actually do what it tells you, as it's been hard for me to do, it seems. But lastly, what you want to make sure you do, simplify these b terms. So we didn't have any extra 40b squares, but we did have negative 40b, negative 5b. So negative 40 apples and negative 5 apples combined equals negative 45 apples plus 5. When I say apples, I mean that b. And that's all there is to it. Use the foiling method.